Yeah.
So, I don't know. To me, I never wore it. You own a tie?
I own ties, but I haven't worn one.
The only times I've ever
3
worn a
years.
tie was like on job interviews and jobs that absolutely required everybody to wear a tie. So I'm like, I'm in there, I'm doing your thing, but I'm not a tie guy. All right, so I hope I answered that question for you, Henry.
Okay, thank you.
Can I do more questions?
Yes.
Okay, and you can answer these too as we go. You want to answer? Somebody wrote to me. What's so funny?
I'm just looking at the beginning of the question.
All right, don't say anything about what's coming. Somebody wrote to me on offline, and they said, as a Seventh-day Adventist, and I mentioned last week that a lot of people in the Seventh-day Adventist community now are watching us. You know, I'm going to say several thousand. As a Seventh-day Adventist, our family never eats pork, but the ad we saw, you know the ad? The ad in which was circulated the internet, went viral, and we were talking about kosher food laws. Okay. So the ad we saw said something about how if we eat... In other words, we were talking, and this is what they're quoting. In the video, they asked about how if we eat beef or chicken, it is not considered clean unless the Jews do the slaughtering. And they wrote that in the form of a question, because I just copied it. If we eat beef or chicken, it is not considered clean unless the Jews do the slaughtering. Well, here's the thing on that. You want to answer this, or you want me to answer it?
Well, I'll give it my shot.
Okay, you give it yours.
As a Seventh-day Adventist, you should be a vegetarian. That's the teachings of the church. So, if you're straying outside of it and eating beef and chicken, you're straying outside the church. So, but as far as I know, that a lot of non-Jews like to eat food that's kosher, and they think it's cleaner, and I think that's great because it puts more money in our pockets.
Okay, I'm going to say that what they
consider
clean is the word kosher.
Yeah.
And kosher laws are what the Jews follow. Jews follow kosher dietary laws. Jewish dietary laws require that a Jew does the slaughtering. A Jewish rabbi has to do the slaughter for beef or chicken or whatever. And the Torah, right, was given to the Jews. So these laws only apply to the Jews, and from a Jewish Torah perspective, a true Jewish perspective, non-Jews can literally eat anything they want. And we don't care if a non-Jew eats beef or pig or anything slaughtered by anybody. That's their business, and we don't have anything to do with it. We don't care, because the Bible is part of the Torah, which is the written and oral Torah, goes together, was only given to the Jews, and those laws that are in it only apply to the Jews. So it's a little bit of that. I have to bring that out, because you're saying to them, your church, you're supposed to be XYZ. I'm going to say there's only two types of people in the world: Jews and non-Jews. Non-Jews have what's called the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, and we talked about it many times here. That a non-Jew has to follow the 7 laws of the 7 Noachide laws, if you will. One of those laws is that you don't eat a limb of a living animal. Right, and that's the only dietary law that you have, right? And whether you follow the Seventh-day Adventist Church or the Catholic Church or the whatever, we don't care, because as long as you can eat anything you want, as long as you don't eat a live limb off of an animal. The rest, the Bible, the Torah, was only given to the Jews, and the slaughtering calls for it to be done for beef and chicken by a Jew. This is all in the oral Torah. All right, the person continued, I may have this wrong, but I think I read that SDA, Seventh-day Adventist people, need to now buy meat that is kosher. I never said that, because I wouldn't say that, and here's why. I don't care what a non-Jew eats. I seriously don't care, because the Torah was only given to the Jews. And Levi just explained that a Seventh-day Adventist person shouldn't be eating meat, period, right? He's still trying to deprogram himself from that thinking. Why have I never heard anything about this before? I'm going to say because, I can't answer that, except that I'm probably going to say that probably before Levi and I started this show, I'm going to go out on a limb here, right? What other show with an audience that reaches the non-Jews would ever explain these kind of things? We're doing something that's revolutionary. You know, we've started it last summer, right? We've almost been doing this a year. We are two of the frummiest from Jews, right? And yet our audience has always been, I believe, primarily non-Jewish. And we are explaining what's what and what's up, you know, and people are finding out stuff that they had no idea. Because where else are you going to find anybody, you know, explain all this stuff? Where else can you go on the internet and find out about the 7 mitzvahs b'nai Noach, which we went into in detail, right? And how to convert and all these things, right? We're becoming like viral and spiral out there. That's me. I'm viral and you're spiral.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go on. Are you connected to the church in some way? Me? No, not at all. I have absolutely no connection to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I cannot speak for them. I never try to represent myself as such. But some of the stuff that we say, members of that church, past and present, find it very valuable because the things that we say was kept, let's say, was never made public to people in SDA. What do you say about that? You're kind of connected to the church.
I grew up in the church. So
family-wise.
So I don't recall many Seventh-day Adventists who ate meat had any concern about whether the meat was slaughtered and prepared in a kosher way. So, but I do know that many non-Jews are starting to become interested in purchasing food that is certified as kosher. So
really?
They think it's healthier.
See, I have a problem with that part. Because I can find you plenty of unhealthy food that has an OU on it. I know, I used to work for
But
the
maybe
UAA.
they just think it's spiritually healthier. People are.
Yeah, okay, it's spiritually healthy. There's no question about that because it's spiritually fit. That's the whole idea of kosher, right? All right.
So Henry says, you say Torah was only given to the Jews. Wasn't there a mixed multitude with them that went out from Egypt?
True. The mixed multitude they technically became Jews. They were converts. They were converts.
So Rabs often calls me a mixed multitude when we're off the air. So.
You're a mixed multitude of dirty thoughts.
Dirty stories.
Dirty stories. Yeah. The mixed multitude was the group of Egyptians that came along for the ride, that escaped with the Jews, and when they all got to Mount Sinai, everybody became a Jew together. And the final question of this person is, do the church officials know that they're not supposed to eat clean meat if it isn't prepared like the Bible talks about? You can answer that.
Church officials will tell you to be vegetarian, and if you don't live up to that ideal, I've never heard a church official say it's important that you eat food certified kosher.
Why? Let me just ask a question. This is like Torah talks, but I'm just curious. As you grew up this way and you're still vegetarian today, why does the Seventh-day Adventist Church not eat meat? I don't get that. What's the mucker for that? What's the source?
I think in the Messianic times it's portrayed in, I think, Isaiah that people won't eat animals anymore. Like the lion will lie down with the lamb and they'll both get up in the morning. So in this Messianic conception in the prophets that animals won't eat animals anymore, and supposedly people won't eat animals anymore. And then also the Garden of Eden before the fall. The fall is a really big deal in Christianity. So in the Garden of Eden before the fall, it was vegetarian. So those are the... That's
what they buy, because we don't believe that. Because when the Mashiach comes, when Messiah comes, we're going to go back to Jerusalem. We're going to build the temple, and we're going to bring karbanos, offerings, and we're going to slaughter animals again. We had a discussion about